hope everyone has enjoyed their bye week because I know I certainly have not. A weekend without EFA football is like a day without air. It makes me ill, terrible, without food,
Dead.
without water, basically practically dead. I'm Chris Tebbs, barely hanging on, but thank God we've got EFA football coming to you this week. It's getting down to the wire as the playoffs are right around the corner. Matt Bressington, how has your bye week been?
Not great, obviously. No EFA football this week, so I've been a bit down in the dumps trying to find some games to watch, but there hasn't really been anything on as at the moment, which is a shame. But here we are. We're coming to the end of the regular season. Playoffs are just around the corner. The Big Four is just around the corner, and then of course we'll be finishing up in Tyrrell, which I'm very very excited for. But yeah, it's been a week of looking forward rather.
It's been and maybe a week of reflection. Because that's what this show's going to be. We're going to reflect on the season up to this point. Obviously, we've still got 2 more weeks left of the regular season where, we've still got a playoff race underway. No one has been eliminated yet. The Prague
Which I
Lions,
love.
it's great, isn't it? Like the Prague Lions, Raiders to roll, still somehow alive. Both of them with big games left on the schedule, whilst we have a massive change at the Frankfurt Galaxy at the QB position, and the Paris Musketeers continue to be a little bit shaky. But for this episode, we're going to look back. We're going to look back on the season that was, the season that is, because it is currently still going, and we're going to tell you what we liked so far, who are our standouts, and maybe potentially what we'd like to see from our squads next year. Before we look back on the inaugural EFA season, we would be remiss not to talk about a massive change that has happened during the bye week. Ethan Garbers, the UCLA quarterback, is out of the Frankfurt Galaxy. Instead now, they have quarterback Zach Calzada in from, a fair few universities, maybe like everyone, University of Incarnate Word. Got to tick that particular box. Got to tick that particular box, but also A&M as well as Kentucky, I believe, as well. So we don't know the situation in regards to what has happened with Ethan Garbers and why Mr. Garbers is no longer playing for the Frankfurt Galaxy, because he wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. So
no, I think this was leaving before he was. I think he was left before putting. No, I don't think the wrong way. He left there more than they left him. You know what I mean? You don't want to break up. It's like we know it was mutual. I left them. No, I don't think that was the case. I think Garbers had a good season. He 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Those 2 interceptions coming obviously caused in the last week's game against the Raiders. So previous this was pretty flawless with his turnover ratio.
Until
I'm not sure what.
Till the last game.
Yeah, to the last game. I think he could potentially be looking at other avenues, UFL, maybe CFL. I mean, that's possible. We see players come over to Europe for a bit and then go over to North American leagues all the time. So it wouldn't be irregular to see that from Garbers. He has a UCLA background. He put up some good tape in Europe. He was fun to watch. Am I kind of sad that I won't get to see him again? Yes. But I think the Galaxy didn't really accommodate to him. And maybe I'm being a bit too harsh. Maybe you can make that decision. I think some people would be very happy watching this episode, but I do not think that the Galaxy gave him the best opportunities to succeed. His offensive line was torrid for the first couple of games. They haven't given him a run game at all. Like he was leading rusher in the league second leading rusher in the league for a minute. They gave him a top receiver and they gave him a bunch of other receivers, but they never really schemed people like Tyler Foster open, and they didn't use players potentially that full thing. So I think that the Garbers. I'm taking the Garbers side in this breakup.
I mean, it does have to be said. Like you look at those first 2 weeks of the season for Ethan Garbers. We spoke about the adjustment period, and I don't think that that adjustment period was harsh because I believe it was 6 sacks and then 7 sacks.
Yeah.
It wasn't you can't put that much faith into it, but at the end of the day, like one of the big things in European football that we like to discuss as an X factor in terms of the attributes is the continuity, and the Galaxy are not confirmed to be playing in the Big Four at the PSD Bank Arena in Frankfurt, their home stadium. But I mean, if you look at the Raiders to roll, bringing in Allen on just a couple of days' notice, they go out, they shock the Galaxy.
Mhm.
At least Calzada here is going to have a bit more time to familiarise himself with the Galaxy, but he's coming in when the pressure is at the absolute highest. He's coming in when the Galaxy need to win these games, especially when you're staring down the barrel of Prague, who are hungry, very very
Mhm.
hungry, and it would for lack of a better term, it'd be a bit bittersweet for Frankfurt here in the inaugural season to be hosting the playoff games. They could have great first round. They're hosting the playoff games. You don't want to be sat in the stands at PSD Bank Arena watching it. All of you want to be sat in the stands watching it. I
Mhm.
want to be sat in the stands watching it, but I
I
imagine
wish.
the Frankfurt Galaxy uh, don't want to be.
No.
It's as simple as that.
I mean, we can talk about Luke, not Luke, I'm thinking of Zaradka. They're different Galaxy quarterback they had a couple of years ago. Guys and Italian names to go into the Frankfurt Galaxy is quite something. He's, of course, you mentioned a couple of teams he played for before, Kentucky and Cardinal Word. He spent a bit of time at Auburn and Texas A&M as well. He also has just been in the indoor football league. That's where he's coming from. Only about a month ago, he was playing in the indoor football league. Played for the CFL and the Red Blacks as well. He's had like a decent. It's definitely not as acclaimed as Garbers is, and of course, naturally, you're going to be compared to someone like Garbers when you've replaced him on very short
Mm.
notice. He had a couple good seasons at kind of word over 65% accuracy in both seasons. Few turnovers, 18 interceptions in 2 years, but he also did get like 50 odd touchdowns. Kentucky, he got the pictures at Kentucky. He didn't really play very much, and he played 3 games, 2 interceptions, 0 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing. It's not exactly lighting the world on fire. I'm going to be honest. He has the kind of see now. This is where people are going to get mad. Luck-based play style, where he'll kind of
He doesn't mean Andrew there either, guys. He don't mean
no
Andrew.
Andrew Luck. He's kind of throwing and then turning as he's throwing and then kind of hoping that it gets to the right position. He's very risky with the ball. He has a great arm and his ball placement is sometimes spectacular. Um, but flat out, I don't think he's as good as Garbers is. And I think he might struggle with interceptions. And guess who he's got first opening week, Tebbs?
Mm,
He's got the Nordic Storm
mm.
with
Bap-
Maceo Beard.
bapti- Baptism by fire there
Yeah,
for
it's gonna be
Calzada there.
it's gonna be
It's
hell.
not it's not going to be an easy run. That's why if we really firm it right now, expect Nordic to come away with a victory there. It's whether or not the Galaxy can sort of, for lack of a better term, lock in
Hmm.
for that final week matchup against Prague. Like I think I said it last week that game that game is going to be filthy. Like that is a rivalry game, and for people who don't say it is, you're lying to yourself.
Hmm.
But that could very well be winner of that could be going to Frankfurt.
Yeah.
So with that, we're going to turn our attention back to the season that is, and we'll give you a little dissection. Is not the word because it's still alive.
Look into.
There's
We're
not a
going to
word.
move on to the season.
Yeah.
I'm going to take control for this one. They're not very regular. I've taken the intro for these, but I'm gonna call this segment 2 stars and a wish. I presented this to Tabs. He had no idea what I was talking about. But in my school, when I was younger, when we had pieces of homework that we do, someone else would read it. They give us 2 things they liked about it, and 1 thing that we can improve on. 2 stars and a wish. So that's what I'm going to call this segment. And this is how we're going to look through the eyes of a child to the EFA season. Simplified, easy, 2 stars and a wish. Tabs, would you like to give 2 stars and a wish, or just a star? What would you like?
I could just go with a star, and we'll go back and
Give
forth
us your
because
star, golden
or-
star.
so just like conceptually, like it can be anything within the
Could be
league, right?
anything that you liked about this season. Yeah.
What I like about this, what about the EFA? There's lots of things,
Yeah.
of course, but I like that we are sat here going into week 12, week 13, and it's
Mm.
tense. Like it's tense. Like there's been some leagues, not just in Europe, but around the world. We like, oh, we're getting to the end of the season and it's all wrapped up and no one's really playing for anything. Oh, no, 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 no. Everyone's still playing for something.
Mm.
everyone is still playing for something, whether that be Munich and Nordic for the number one seed in the final week of the season, whether that be Prague or Tyrol trying to get into the playoffs after a season of struggling, or the Paris Musketeers and the Frankfurt Galaxy still trying to maintain their current standing in the Big Four. And the fact that we've got, these six teams that are all, they've all still got something to fight for as we cast the first EFA regular season off into the sunset. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it was a good start. It's a good start.
Uh,
Well done. Should we all give a round of applause for Tebbs?
Yeah.
My star is about. It's a bit of a weird one. I like that we are consistently moving in the right direction in terms of changing things actively through the year to make the games more competitive, giving Prague and the Raiders some extra players, some extra help. I think it was a really good part with the I imports. I think the W imports could definitely use some work. I'm not a fan. I don't think the River Wire really works. If I'm going to be completely and honestly myself, I don't think it's very good because, if I'm a player, I'm a really good player, and I got offered the worst team, I'm just going to say no until I get to the really good team I want to go to. I'm going to join to them. So that has some flaws, but I like the commitment to leveling the playing field. I don't. If we just stuck with the same rules, I don't think Prague would be as competitive as they are with people like Paris. Now that we started up here, Prague get blown out by Munich and the Nordic, which is slightly more even. I don't think Nordic and Munich needed extra eyes at all, or W's. Didn't get any eyes. They got W's, which I don't think they deserved. But if we move in from one direction, maybe next season we add an A on the an American on the offensive line, as I've suggested on some of my articles. We add maybe a couple more import spots depending on where you finish in the six table, as it were. I think could be really good. Yeah, I like how we've not been stuck in the mud. Like we saw there was a few blowouts happening. We thought, well, how can we make it easier? We give Prague a little bit more help. We give the Raiders a little bit more help. And now we've got this really exciting season crystallizing at the end of the campaign. So that would be my star.
Right. Okay. So my second one here. I'm happy with the future because future on the field is what specifically I'm referring to. I think there is a crop of young players, especially when you look at the likes of Tyrol, and dependent on who gets offers to go stateside for Prague. I think that there is space that we can see in the next few years. These teams that are currently in the inaugural season not having the best of times, really making a push because this is it. I feel like because there's been X amount of years of American football in Europe leading up to this point, you forget that despite the fact that the teams stay the same, the league's still quite fresh. It's completely fresh. It's wet behind the ears. We're not even past the regular season yet, but I think the future of it on field wise is only going to improve, and I mean that from a domestic talent perspective primarily.
Yeah, I like that. My last star is for the Americans we've been able to introduce into Europe, not just the guys we're familiar with, the Jadrians, the Russells, the Brevin Eastons, the Ken Hikes, all the guys we love and we admire and we really enjoy seeing in Europe. And I want them to know that they're loved and seen because they're spectacular. They make us sport a lot better. But even some of the new guys, like Garbers while he was here was really fun and enjoyable to watch. We saw people like Mason Chambers and Jay Clay and having players from like if you told me a UCLA starting quarterback, and again I know harping on him a little bit, he's no longer part of the league, but like the fact we had a UCLA quarterback starting is pretty nuts, right?
Yeah.
So I like being able to attract more of these names. I think a couple of years ago it was D2 guys, D3 guys, which again, no disrespect to D2, D3 guys. We have a ton of them that are very successful. But I think we're stepping up into that level of, well, we can get someone that's been a starter at Division 1 level, has had NFL training camps, has had CFL experience, etc., etc. So I've really enjoyed watching that up as a self-proclaimed scout. It's been good to see the elevation of play in Europe.
That's all right. For my one wish, O lines, O lines,
Eye lines,
O lines,
as in like
O lines,
viewing experience. Oh, O line. Sorry, I thought I said eye
O
line.
lines.
O
No,
line.
O lines,
That's what I was thinking.
offensive lines,
Camera work could be a thing. Offensive lines, I get it. My bad.
O lines. It's some of them. They haven't been great, and I don't know what it is because O line seems to be a position that Europe can export
Massive.
to the states, and it feels like they've not quite been there this year. They've not quite been there, and for me, it's been the biggest difference maker between the teams at the top and the teams who are currently, with 2 weeks left to go, not currently scheduled to be in Frankfurt. I think that there's. But the problem is that it's a wish, but I don't quite know how to rectify it.
Mm.
I don't quite know how to rectify it. I think that there's there has to be more talent. There has to be more big boys. More big
We
boys is
always
what I
want big
want.
boys, but there is a ton of big boys. Like I think there is over 50 college guys at this point as I'm speaking. I'm pretty sure it's over 50 college offensive linemen. They're European, and I th- I do definitely agree with you. We got like the Victor Stoffels, the Isaac Moores, the Dominic Andres, the Garrett Brandts, the Marlon Worthmans. The guys that are just top level CFL fringe guys, NCAA Division One starters. But then Prague haven't been able to. They do have Jasper, but like the other four slots haven't been filled like that. Frankfurt's offensive line, although Tantas had a really rough year. The Raiders haven't really been able to attract that kind of talent. So yeah, I do agree. It's just finding a way to like convince some of these guys, like Isaac Moore, like Victor Stoffel, like Dominic, to like try a different team. So I'm not sure how you do it, but probably would help with the competitive balance. Yeah. My final wish is going to be, I think, European performances. I've talked about, I think, last week. I was just overall disappointed with the Europeans this year. Not all of them, but no offense. I don't think Jalen Henderson should be second in the league for rushing when we have all these great European running backs. Bofenda, is, granted, has had a good year, especially the last couple of weeks. I don't see him as a top 3 running back in Europe. Selig's had a good one, but again, he split carries, so he's kind of got an exception. But Munich have 3 guys in the top 10. Munich have 3 guys in the top 8. Nearly half of it is Munich guys because they have just had such success running the ball. And there's 2 quarterbacks in that top 8 as well. So you remove Munich, you remove quarterbacks, you've got 3 guys. So it's been a bit of a strange one for the rushing title. Glenn could not play a snap, I think, for the rest of the year and still win a rushing crown, which is
Yeah.
it's not exactly competitive. Exactly the same story with Bolio. I don't think he needs to play another snap, get another catch, and he will lead the triple crown, not just the yards and the touchdowns. He's double second place in terms of touchdowns. Yards, he's nearly double. And Europeans, in terms of the yards, have been Europeans in terms of touchdowns have been I just want a bit more, On defense, we've had a lot. Look with Myron, but again, you're going to attract more defensive stars because defense is easier than offense for Europeans because we play rugby, we play contact sports. Some of the players are just run forward and tackle. But I think we've had maybe a bit of a down year for some European performances. That would be my one wish. Was more European standouts.
Yeah, I think that will come though.
I agree. More when London
I think
and Milan, I'm expecting European performances to be up when we get more games.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be an interesting one next season. I'm sure we'll do another one of these right at the end of the season
Yeah.
where we're like, what we're looking at for next year. But I mean, this was a nice chill episode because we don't really have, there's no football on, and this is a show where we talk about the football that is on.
Yeah.
And there wasn't any on.
It's a little short and
And
sweet little thing to keep
it's one of those things where like we don't want to spend all our energy previewing week 12 because that's what the week 12 previews for. So join us on Friday as we get you ready for the final 2 weeks, the crunch time of the EFA season. Week 12 is going to have some great matchups. Obviously, for me, it's the rematch of the game of the year so far.
That's the only one.
It's Prague versus Tyrol, which is Sunday right here on this YouTube channel. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Chris Tebbs. He has been Matt Bressington, and we will see you on Friday as we look forward to week 12.